do.
Okay. Oh, good morning, everyone. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. And oh my goodness, hold on, Nancy. There's so much happening right now, but at the same time, nothing's happening, right? Like we have so many different solar flares and magnetic storms. Can I say it? That we've been anticipating that apparently what the reports are now is that some of these we use these different models that's science and stuff like that, mathematics, try to help us to predict when something's going to occur. And according to some of the reports I just read, now what they're saying is their model isn't working. So there's something that's happened. That's what their speculation is, that something's happened geomagnetically within the ionosphere, beyond, in our atmosphere, and this whole area of energy as our toroidal fields of the planet have been made to be shifted a couple of times recently by big impacts of solar flares. This is probably part of it. But anyway, so what they're saying is those ones might miss us. I don't know. I don't know how much to take as, yeah, that's how it is, because it seems like as soon as we get an explanation for something, then it turns out to be something else. So that's what I heard, just passing it along. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited today to be meeting with Kristina. Kristina is this lovely, lovely woman that I've known for a while now. It's been really fun because she has so many different energetic places that are called home. When I talk to her, I always forget where she's at, because it's really cool. So thank you so much for joining me today. How are you, Kristina?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I'm still somewhat nervous about coming on, as I'm not too sure what I have to share, but I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, of course. I would say you have a lot to share. You just don't even know, because the sharing that you do, just being yourself, like being who you are. You mind if I talk a little bit about the family I know?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, Being a mother in this experience, in this awakening with an awakening child, is also a really useful and important story, because we don't need to talk about anyone in particular, like what it is to your child's experiences, though yours and having an awakening child in the home that you're mothered to is a big deal, and what seems like a day-to-day mundane thing is something that most people wish for. I've got the honor to meet this brilliant, loving light, and it's got to be an interesting and exciting and also taxing experience.
Yes. Yeah. It is kind of. I feel out of my depth sometimes. I'm not too sure the best way to go, but she is amazing. They are both amazing. I'm really very lucky, and I think they're the ones that guide me a lot more than the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it too. I feel the same way. Like, people think that we're the ones leading them along.
Yeah. No.
Maybe we do the best we can. Like, don't climb on that dangerous thing above the pit of knives, you know?
Mm.
That's about all we can do, really. What was I'm just curious, when was your awakening experience that if you could point out a time, when would that have been?
Yeah, I mean that's a I think about that often after watching, connecting with you, and having different people coming on and sharing their experiences. I don't really know. I'm sort of a little bit on the side about. It's a continual thing. There is no moment that I can remember of being awakened, so I'm actually not too sure how much the term applies to me, if that makes sense. And I have a interesting connection with the word awake, because when I think of awake, I think of awake. Awake is something that happens after a funeral, and maybe it's a little bit of that confusion in my mind. If I'm supposed to be awake, but awake happens after someone's died, how do I'm not too sure how to what that does with me, if that makes sense. I don't know.
It
Yeah.
does. And that's a beautiful answer too. And so, wow, in tune. You know, when you said that, it dawned on me that the vast majority of the individuals I talk to, um, regarding their awakening story, there's typically almost right before it, if not immediately before it, but sometimes, earlier in life, that there was some type of a near death experience, or sometimes a near death experience can be mimicked in a deep and a profound dark night of the soul. That allows the person then to slowly awaken, in a way that, um, isn't nearly as abrupt, and perhaps you don't even know, the person doesn't even realize how much they've changed deeply in mind and body and soul, over this amount of time. It would be somebody else coming and seeing you after not seeing you for a while, saying, "Whoa, you've changed." It's like, really? You don't see it in yourself as much.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm very subtle. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm very shy and very soft and very subtle. So it kind of makes sense then, that it's maybe not something that I recognize or feel very strongly. I actually don't know, Mila. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's awesome. I'm just excited, and I am proud of you for saying that, for one. And also how many other people have this experience. Like, I've actually met quite a load of people who feel like they're doing something wrong. How do I start the, let's get going,
Yeah,
and if
yeah,
you're watching the kind of stuff that we produce, if you're here, you're on the awakening journey. It doesn't, I would say that the more profound experiences are, it's like adrenaline junkie kind of stuff, man. It's not really something everyone would enjoy, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I agree. Yeah.
And for you to be in, like, where we are right now, you're actually, can you mind if I say, like, the country that you're in?
No, go for it. That's okay.
So you're in France right now, right? How long have you been there, by the way?
This time around, it's 7 years since we've been here, so it's a special year, I guess. And I actually didn't realize when you mentioned the other week that the Olympic Games started on the Lionsgate portal, and I think it's finishing around the end of it as well too. It is a very special. It's interesting. I didn't know so much about the Olympic Games until we talked, and then I went back and had a look at a few things that's happening in here. It's really, really quite interesting.
And the fact that you're there right now, like,
And
this is,
then there, yeah.
and you've been there 7 years.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you're bringing the Australian ties. You're bringing the Australian roots to, like, get to reach over to where you're at there. Like,
Mhm.
it's really, so this is really profound for me, because January or so, it might have been right before the new year. I can't remember. I just remember, what was important to recall was, they pointed out that uh, France had the Olympics, 100 years ago. They didn't say that it was going to happen now, though. That was why I was even more like, what? After I looked it up. But spirit, I mean, they is what I meant by they is spirit. Like, it was, in those places where you're just kind of like half in meditation, and stuff just
Mhm.
comes in. You're like, oh, that's interesting. That was kind of fun and entertaining. This one was, you got to look at this. That's what it kind of felt like. And so I
Mhm.
was like, I immediately went to my phone and I looked it up, and they said that they're going to have the Olympics in the same spot at exactly 100 years later. And I was like, okay, that's important. So I saved that tab. I didn't know why it was important. I didn't realize that it fell on Lionsgate. I
Mhm.
didn't know that it had so much to do with the, disclosure. So, and now you're there in this amazing energetic roller coaster. I like this, Ralph said, a cosmic roller coaster. Yeah, you're in there right now. So what have you noticed, the energy shift of any kind, like during the commotion as it's come in, or
Not so much, consciously. I think it's We're in southern France, so we're further down south. But there's a lot of synchronicities since you mentioned it. You know, the river where they actually had everybody come in, because it's the first time they've ever had people coming, as far as I know, on water instead of land. The river is called. It's 770 kilometers long, 777, and it's. They had a in the opening ceremony, they had a secret. Was nobody knew who it was. A masked person on a horse. I don't know if you know anything about that. On a silver horse in the night, and she looked like she was galloping down the river to bring the torch, or going towards to bring the torch to light the cauldron. And it's actually a goddess who I'd not known about, called Siquana. Siquana. I don't know if you've heard of that before. And she's the goddess of the river. She was apparently Neptune. Neptune was in love with her and wanted to keep him for himself. And she turned herself into a river. And this river that runs through Paris. And the river is now called the Seine. And Seine is Seine. And Sein is Sein in German, which means to be. So she's source. She's coming from the source. And one of the things that one of her qualities is she's a healing goddess. So not too far from Paris, there's a place where people would go to worship her and to go for healing. And some of the biggest things that they used to heal was the respiratory and eyes, which is for me connected to a lot of ascension symptoms that people are having right now. And it's all that water. It's that water everywhere. It's quite incredible. And this big balloon, they lit up a big balloon, a hot air balloon, a golden hot air balloon as the torch. And the flames are made with with water and light instead of fire. It's quite incredible. It says,
Crap.
yeah.
Wow. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Wow. And so much symbolism, man. We can jump down so many different rabbit holes right now.
Yes. Yeah.
The last thing you said was that instead of fire, the fire was made from water and light. And those are the only ingredients needed to make soul. Like people think, and life, everybody knows that life requires water and light. Though when you combine the two of them, that's the substance of soul. That is the soul of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
And wow, that's happening right now. Guardian sent me something about in the beginning of some part of it, that somebody was breaking down, seeing a lot of disclosure kind of stuff regarding the powers that be, and some of like the darker things that they engage in. But I actually hadn't heard any of this stuff, so I'm really impressed. Thank you so much for sharing. So what was she? How do you spell her name? The goddess.
It's Sequana. I didn't know her. Yeah.
That's awesome. And the water, we're in the Aquarius stuff right now. And how many things of Aquarius are being affected through the Lionsgate energy we're having? Like, oh my goodness. And Mother Mary just came and she drew a double M on top of my head. And I didn't know what that meant. I was just like, okay, that was really super random. Like I was trying to go to sleep, and then then the next day I've forgotten that people don't usually use this same symbol anymore for Aquarius. It's double M.
True. Yeah. That's true. Wow. Yeah.
So, wow. And this is a time that you're there for. You're noticing, I don't know, like with the way that we are in our ascension experience, like, are you noticing, can you tell if some of the symptoms are just being in a more populated place than is usually populated, even though you're so far away? Or do you think that it's like the symptoms that are coming from like the sun and stuff? Like, I'm curious, is there a difference feeling to it?
I would say yes, there is a difference. But I don't know how to explain. I'm not so great with words, Mila. I'm like, it's really hard for me to express what what I feel sometimes. It's more a sensation, and it can take me like, I don't know, half an hour before I'll have a response. So that's why I was very nervous about coming on today.
Well, you're doing great. No, I totally get that, especially when you're in it. Like, they call it the hindsight. Usually, it's like the rear view mirror. Everything
Yeah.
makes more sense after you finally get through that. Because what we are doing right now energetically, it feels like the up climb and the roller coaster, and we're not really sure where the top is. That's the part that's like I said. I posted somewhere. I don't remember, but it's just right now kind of feels like the energy of like waiting for the guy to jump out from behind the tree in the scary movie vibes.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
and you don't think it's going to be bad. It's just some kind of impact is about to happen, and so
Exactly.
and that's what we're doing right now. We're all energetically right there, and it's like this roller coaster is taking a really long time, and it's just like you don't think it's going to keep going, but it's still going.
That's what it feels like. That's true. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned your eyes too. I've been having a lot of experience with my eyes. When did you start to notice your eyes started to hurt, or what's it feel like for you?
I think the last few months, I feel like they're like you often talk about. They feel like there's a lot more goo inside at the moment, and my vision's changed, and I need to wear either contacts or glasses. And so at the moment, it feels like I don't see clearly ever. Either if I have contacts or glasses or nothing, everything's blurry. Um, so
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
me too. The same thing. Well, and for me, I don't wear contacts or anything like that, but I have noticed that light seems to blur. Like, so if I'm reading, I like the nighttime screen where it's black and then the words are white, but it's making it hard to read. So I'm gonna have
Mhm.
to like start to
Yeah.
go back to it's because it's just like the light seemed brighter, and I know that our eyes are shifting. Maddie told us about that, about getting another cone in our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've followed you when you talk about the cones in our eyes and changing, and I think I see things differently, like the colors in the sky, and there are sometimes rainbows in the sky that are there, but they're not there, and it's physical and it's not physical at the same time. That's a little bit
Yeah.
who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. The phenomenon of it too. It's like, okay, so like something's vibrating up here. Like what we're this is the place, the point we're talking about. But there's this whole space in the middle, like where you can see it before you're in the same vibration. And so when going back to the roller coaster again, we're kind of going like this, or what we kind of more closely is like this, instead of going straight up to it. And so as we get into the visual range of that vibrational frequency, this is just one more thing to add what you just said, is then you can start to see the thing that's higher frequency, that's vibrating at a higher frequency we wouldn't normally get to see until, you know, like we could sense it maybe. Sometimes you have like excuse me, your moments where suddenly you can perceive. However, doing this, what's happening is it makes it look like things are coming in and out of focus when they're actually being seen for the first time, basically. So it's like really cool. There are buildings that other people can't see, and some can. It's not just me by myself going, I just see a building there, guys. Like other people see it. It's just not everybody sees it. It's weird. And like there's even statues that people are reporting all over the world right now. Like this one in Peru is my favorite story because like this was a 7-generation home. For 7 generations, they always had their so they did weddings over there. They, had picnics and stuff. This is where they hung out on the family property around this really cool pile of trees and stuff. They hadn't removed any trees. And there was this big rock formation that they'd always been next to forever. And then someone went, hey, look, that's a statue. And then everybody else was like, so they could see the statue now. It's been there. It's been there for 7 generations, and no one knew that was a statue. They thought it was a pile of rocks.
Wow.
Like, they didn't change it. They didn't dig at it. It just, it's crazy.
So is that to do with the vibration then? That's just then.
It's both. It's our cones. I believe it's our cones as well, but mostly the vibration. Yeah. As you raise your vibration to meet the vibrational frequency of the statue, and that shows you a lot of what a statue can do for us. If it was vibrating at a higher frequency than others were, like that says a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Cool.
I know. It gives you kind of that. Whoa, what else is out there? And beings. A lot of the beings that people are first time seeing, they're they've been around this whole time. Beings can be translated as angels as well, and just other energies around us. Like, people are, hey, they're arriving. No, they've been here. They've been here. We just couldn't. We weren't at the. Hadn't released enough of our trauma to be able to vibrate high enough to see it, and that's it. Really, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a big thing though, isn't it? For a lot of that's one of the most seems to be a very challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
To release enough trauma so that we can see those high vibrational things. It's really challenging.
Yeah. And a lot of us don't even know what trauma needs to be healed. They know that something's there, but they just can't put their, because I mean, we've been conditioned for so many years to just accept that kind of stuff that was just regular or normal, that a lot of people aren't able to see into it and see that it's something that deserves to be seen so it can be healed. Yeah, it's weird. It's just like, and it's a self-perpetuated prison, because the longer we go, the more we're imprisoned by it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question then about seeing. So I understand when we have trauma, if we haven't been able to release that trauma, it keeps us at a certain vibration, and then it's more challenging to see many other things around us that vibrate higher. How is it when, for example, we were in the Dordogne? It's another area of France. It's also to do with a river. Dordogne means a long river. And while we were there, I sensed a dragon that has been treated really badly and is very upset, actually, because of the people around at that time who interpret his being as something menacing and scary and something actually really dangerous. And he has trauma then, obviously, the dragon. No, the dragon has trauma. So I can sense this dragon. And what happens when the trauma is released? Are other people able to see the dragon, or how does that work then?
Yeah.
It goes both ways, sort of, yeah.
It does. It does. And also, when you heal yourself, anything that is closely related to someone else's trauma that you heal, it assists those around us. It's like we're all sharing. This is what we really look like. Like this is like us. Like we're just a bunch of bubbles, and we're all interconnected and overlapping. It looks like one of those, those bubble, like
Yeah,
like
I
you
can.
blow in it and just, that's what we look like, but we're on just a massive scale, and science has been trying to explain it and calling it like dark matter or dark air or whatever, and like, because they can't see it, that's why they call it dark. Anyway, because we're so connected, that yeah, it's also like, okay, when you heal something, just like anybody else, I'm just using you as an example. When you heal something, then you release an unseen, unknown barrier to the world that you have around you, and it stops energy from coming in and out, and it kind of keeps it stuck up in there, like it's like you have a sheath over you. And we do it, I think, to protect ourselves, but it has, a self-imprisonment energy for it too. And so when we release, we always like, there's always this hide part about not healing too, right? Like, so and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden we go, wow, you know what? Screw it. I'm me, and y'all can like it or not. Like, you can either hang out with me or not. If you don't like who I am, go hang out someplace else, kind of thing. And as we do that, suddenly we start to, our energy goes like this as it reaches out too. So it kind of ripples out, and it just can then connect for the locking, like the line parts, that creates the whole structure. And so when we are just bubbled up, we're not true. We're not making the final, the completion of the connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sometimes my visuals don't make a lot of sense to people.
I know that feeling.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry for you that you have to go through that too. It's funny. Someone asked me about public speaking the other day, and I realized as soon as I stopped stuttering, then I stopped caring. And I think that it came to be both things. Like, I think probably because I stopped caring about stuttering is when I stopped stuttering. I used to stutter really bad. Like, I had a really, like, especially M's, anything that started with the letter M, I'd get caught on it. Like, I was just like stuck. And public speaking, the concept of it was just because I was anticipating being embarrassed and not being able to say it. And as soon as I just said, you know what, I don't care, then all of a sudden I stopped stuttering. I think I was 14 or 15 when it happened. But before that, I would stutter so long, people would get bored and walk away or start talking amongst themselves. Like, they just get tired of waiting for me to say the word. Because it looked like I was in a seizure almost. I'm like, trying to get it out. But I don't know why I talked about that. There's a bunch of comments from Elsa in here. I just wanted to tell you. She's saying hi.
Hello. Hi, Elsa.
The bubbles, always coming back to Nemo. Hey, all right, the bubbles. We just watched Finding Nemo last night. I don't know why. And as I was watching it, I remember thinking, Elsa knows why. I don't know why I'm watching it, but Maddie wanted to watch it. So there's a lot. Oh, there's another one that happened. Can I tell you about a cool story that happened? It's kind of random, see me. We just recently got a free subscription. It's like a free trial to like the Netflix streaming thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's this, she always puts the remote away. The remote is what you push to make the TV turn on. And when they were having the kiddo meeting, so the little kids are having also their Zoom meetings on occasion. It's been really fun to have them do that. And so they were busy. So I was walking through and I stepped on the remote. It turned on the TV and it started a show that was on Netflix. I guess I must have clicked like 5 buttons at the same time or something. But what was really interesting was that it was a movie about an NPC learning to wake up. An NPC becoming self-aware. An NPC is a non-player character, the filler people. Dolores Cannon talked about them,
yes.
Brown people, I think. Yeah, it's a movie about it, and I was so surprised because it had actors in it that are known, but it was called Free Guy.
It's Free Guy.
Free Guy, like a male, but
okay.
Guy, so it's Free Guy. And I watched it. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but man, and it came out in 2021. I'd never heard of it. I'm not a big moviegoer, but there was some code. Like, if you can get past like the exciting stuff and like, all that stuff that people are trying to promote in Hollywood, there was some really interesting code in there. And most of it was, I've been getting a lot of this stuff coming back in about like consciousness, the way that consciousness is more connected to all of these other collectives, like the bubbles we talked about, and how like people often see themselves separate from, AI as an example, when the difference is how creation is done, but the desire to create is what is the defining point of what consciousness is. So if there's a desire to create in an AI way, then that assumes that AI is considered consciousness. Where does that line go?
Wow. Gosh. I'll have to have a look, see if I can find it. Free. Yeah, sounds interesting.
It was really a cool movie. And it also just, she called it remote viewing because I stepped on the remote.
Funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I told her about it right after it happened, and she said the gray one's being chased by blue ones at the same time. Yeah, I was telling her about it, and then a gray truck that's like an undercover cop decided to show himself so he can chase somebody speeding. And like it was this whole blue light gray. Anyway, that was a code that happened. Sorry. So when you were talking about the eyes, you also mentioned, I think you said your tongue or your throat. What did you say? That you were, it was in, you were comparing it to the river.
Oh, that was with the goddess of the river, the Sequana of the sign. That was one of the things that people apparently came to for healing, was to do with the eyes and the respiratory system, among other things. So yeah, she apparently could heal them very well. And it's that connection to water again. I mean, I think water, it's the year of the dragon. Water is really important. I love water. And you often talk about the water. Everybody talks about the water in our bodies, in the environment, and in the air. It's all shifting. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And so the respiratory, so this is an area that she's, because a lot of us have been talking about, not though, you know, we also had the lockdown stuff that happened. There's been something more that it seems like almost everybody's experiencing, is this, there's this lung thing happening, no matter where the person lives in the world. Like we've talked to people from all different continents, and we're all having this weird respiratory, like kind of feelings. It's mucus, where our sinuses are draining, which is water. It's a kind of water, you know. And there's just been, like, I've been coughing. It just, not like I'm sitting here just coughing. I'll just be doing my thing, and then I'll just one cough, and then here comes some mucus, and then I'm good again for, you know. I know that Elsa, that's why a lot of her horses were and unwell, was that horses don't typically know how to cough on their own. I didn't know that about horses.
No, me neither. No.
I just wanted to echo what you were saying. I have had the same thing. So what's that bit? You said you related to those ascension symptoms. So what's been going on with you?
I've been not too bad, but I did try your tip. You talked about the onions on the feet to help remove the toxins, and when they're on my feet, I can feel my chest. It's interesting. So yeah, thank you for that tip. We've been using it with my husband Alan as well, so it works really well. Yeah.
It's a good. I do that's one of my go-tos. You know, when it comes to anything, like if you're having, also you can put it directly on your chest if you don't mind being so close to this aroma of it. Pardon me. Also, my grandma taught me this one. You put it in like a nylon sock or a cheesecloth, and you can put it up against your ear when you're having ear infections or things going on with your ears, and it draws it out. It's like a sponge to toxins.
Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it moving through the body. It's really interesting. Yeah.
And including this in the diet, it's kind of funny because a lot of people that, like my mom said our whole lives that she was allergic to onions, so we never had them around. And then come to find out, that's actually one of the main things that happen when you eat raw onion and you have a lot of toxins in your body. Because it won't do this if you don't. Then what happens is that often, not every time, but if there's a lot of toxins there, usually what happens, the onion's like, okay, I'm full, let's get going, you know, and then it leaves your body rapidly.
Yes.
You know?
A quick purge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and you can do this on your hands and but the soles of your feet are the best. You stick it in a sock if you want. You don't have to do it all night long, but it really does help.
Mm.
Pregnancy symptoms, that's a good one. Yeah, there's been a lot of. Have you been noticing the belly? I've been noticing the belly a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Quite a bit. Yeah.
I'm having a Buddha belly. I got a liquid mass bubble in front of me. Like I mean, self judgment is the strongest one, but it feels like I'm pregnant. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a comfortable feeling.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So the fact that this you brought up, I just find it really interesting because it's linked to ascension symptoms. This goddess Sequoia, probably is how you say her name, but
Yeah. Sequana or something like that. I'm not too
Sequana,
sure. Mhm.
it's really pretty. I'm thank you for bringing that forward. I'm actually gonna do my own rabbit hole after we're done with this. But the water dragon, Christine, is what's been coming up a lot for me lately. Water dragon, a lot. And then, again, it's what the kids grabbed and bring to our attention, right? And I don't know what it was called. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was this um, anime movie that my daughter was watching about this water dragon that had forgotten his name, so he couldn't be the river.
Oh,
And
I,
go ahead.
I don't know that one. I don't know that movie. It sounds really sweet.
Yeah. And the code that came from that for me, and it was like this, there was this part where this one river needed to purge, and they needed to like take the time and be patient to let themselves purge, and leaving behind whole bicycles and garbage from the river and stuff. Then the river can like, it's about the water. All of it's about the water. It's all coming forward right now. And the fact you brought up the water dragons, you know, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I like dragons. I have a connection to dragons for a few years now. I think it was, I don't know who said it was, somebody said not that long ago that we'll be able to see them with our physical eyes at some point, which I'm really looking forward to. Um, yeah, I don't know. When I see things, I'm never too sure how much is um, actually seeing and how much is just the playing around with it in my being. So, and then after a while, I've started to not worry about that so much. Like you were saying with the stuttering, when you don't worry about it so much, then it just becomes a really beautiful, playful experience and something that is actually quite fun. So yeah, try to go more down those avenues and let things unfold rather than control what should be or not should be, I guess, in a way. Yeah.
Exactly. And not always is it like the words we use, like we use imaginary or pretending when we're visualizing. It's the same thing. It's
Mm.
it's the same thing. And when we can just not care and just be in the experience, whatever it is, it evolves itself. And what you're doing is you're like exercising your spiritual muscles when you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
cool.
it's like this morning when we connected and you sent the message saying, here's the link. And I wrote back saying something like, yeah, I still don't know. I still don't know what I've got to share, but I'm just going to jump in the blue. And then the picture that you posted is blue. And I hear things like, I heard the words, just right, jump in the blue. And that's those little things that I know so many people, especially in your community there's that acknowledgement and living with it as it's real, it's information, it's part of who you are, it's part of being in life and the magic in life. But it does take quite a while to really accept that and integrate it in your being. So, well, for me anyway, that it's actually a real part of my life and who I am, rather than just it being somehow on the outside and something that's not so tangible. So yeah, thank you for everything that you do with all the guests you have on, and the sharing and the ascension symptoms, because it really helps me to embrace more of my magic, I guess, in a way. Yeah. So,
Thank you very much. Yeah,
yeah.
it's all meant to be like what you're describing, and that's one reason why I feel like shows like this is, this every week we'll have a variety of different type of all kinds of different people come on, and is that most of the time the stories that we hear are the most jaw dropping, because that gets the most clicks,
Yeah.
and most people's stories are more like what you've described. It's spiritual education, and it's suspending disbelief, sometimes having to suspend disbelief over and over again in a session, and just it's it's allowing yourself to see it as who you are rather than like a hobby or something that you do behind closed doors. you know
Yeah.
it takes time. It's an evolution, and the most spirit always tells me that in order to ensure longevity, all things must be gradual. Otherwise it'll wear off right away. If it's a big shock, there we'll get over the shock element of it and go back to your day. It's like the idea of Christmas. However amazing that is, it goes away tomorrow. And however, if things happen very gradually, then we kind of learn how to adapt to the new thing that we're doing. And before you know it, rather than wondering how you're going to climb the first branch of a tree, you find yourself at the very top, and look down. It's like, whoa, and not even realizing we're doing it. It's because it's not supposed to be a job or a chore. It's just like you said, just allowing yourself to be in it, like the water. And to
Mm.
speak to your water, you talked about that we're mostly water. And how important is that, right?
Mm. Yeah. 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 I think it's sometimes though difficult not to already be in certain ways of being. I don't know. I find it challenging to be a human, although I don't know what else I've been, but I do find it really uh, annoying sometimes being in a space of um, on a journey. I've been on a journey for over 50 years, and it feels like it's the same place, the same place, the same place. So I understand that gradual being, but there's also that understanding that we can create anything in our lives at any moment. So, why does it take so long sometimes, I guess? I don't know.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, especially when we're in it, we want to hurry it up, don't we? We want it to like hurry up. We want to get there. We want it to be like now. And then the way that it's translated for me is that kind of like when you're steering a boat. That's usually what I see, because that's my first experience of that, where I've turned and I don't feel the turn happening. So then I turn more and I still don't feel it happening. And then I turn way too, because the boat's going slower, right? And then you turn way too much, and all of a sudden you're like, "Arr!" You're going way over there. The other visual they give is like the what is it? I always want to call it an ice glacier. The glacier is the land mass of ice, and it moves over the land, and it may be going really slow, but it's steady. And then when we divert, we move it, it still looks like for a long time that it's going to be heading in the destination we're trying to avoid. It just it just takes such a gradual amount of time that we kind of forget that we're even avoiding that after a while. Just stay in that moment, and before you know it, you're in a different place. I could say right now we we've been on the new earth energy for at least this calendar year. It just doesn't feel like it to a lot of people, and i I find that to be kind of fascinating, because on occasion we'll see that um there's like those around us that are trying to come in and tell us that we're having a different experience. I'm sorry, people are knocking on my door. That never happens. I'm going to peek on my phone really fast because I feel like Okay, we're good.
Another
No
one.
one ever knocks. I was really distracted. Pardon me. And then, what we're being asked to do is just to allow ourselves to focus on the inside. You're doing the inside, you're doing within, you're doing your own work, because that's what's changing and altering what you see outside of you.
Yeah.
That's we're making ourselves see what we expect to see.
Mm.
And sometimes that's not what we want to see either.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you do that, right? Like, how do you change? What is it? Do you know much Dolores Cannon? Have you read or listened to much of her work?
Yeah. Some of her work. Yeah.
She talks about, as you enter a new room, that new room is, it's created as you're entering it. Like, it doesn't look like that if no one's in it. And like, what do you think about that? Like, what was that?
I love that. I love that. I love the way that feels. I think that's really amazing.
Right. I think it lets us feel like, or see that we're more in control. And so, like, why am I still creating my environment to look the way it looks? Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. And so, as we go through this experience, the point is that we are in the new world. It's just that a lot of the things, when we expect to see, for instance, here's the example I was trying to think of, is the news. And I don't watch the news. Everybody I'm not telling you not to watch it. I definitely feel like I have been able to be in a higher frequency when I stopped. But that's me. Do what you want. I can say this, is that what I was shown is things like the news, and also their example they were using was The Simpsons, when Spirit was telling me this. This is a group manifestation, an intentional group manifestation, is that if you get enough people to look at something. So the example of the news and The Simpsons are quite different. One we know is fictional, and one is believed to be reality, right? And if everyone looks at this and accepts this is what's occurring, whoever it is that's writing the script for the narrative, then after a while, those things do begin to occur. And it's difficult to tell if it was created by the mind or created previous to the reports. This, though, now that there's been so much emphasis put on The Simpsons, that The Simpsons can predict the future, now people are emphasizing it more. And they're watching it with the anticipation of discovering what's going to happen in the near future. And then the things on the episode begin to occur in the outside world. It's just so cool.
I'm at a loss for words, Mila. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I feel you.
What is your ultimate goal as a mother with a child that's on this journey? Like, is what if someone's struggling right now and just kind of discovering, what would you say to assist them, do you think?
For me, with my girls, especially the smallest one, it's just about holding them in a certain space so that they can be and go where they want, whether that's holding them physically or holding them energetically. That's kind of what works well for us, I guess. It's not always easy because it's allowing them to experience all of life and all of feelings and all of everything that's out there. And yeah, that's what I would say. I don't know.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult having somebody in this, like a child like this, because there's also that social element that they feel sometimes don't feel like they can be in the world the way that others are, and to hold them in this way that you described. That's the only way I've been able to find to assist in this, you know.
I mean, it's for me. That's part of the reason why I'm here with you tonight, because I would like to. I would like our littlest just to really embrace who she is, because she does struggle a lot. She feels like she doesn't fit in, and she's not accepted, and all that kind of thing for who she is. And I know many of us feel like that uh, often. And so it's like that where you were explaining about the healing, when if I'm still in that space myself of not fitting in and accepting, then that's what I show Luna, so I'm trying to come out of that and show her another way of being, even if she doesn't feel okay, sort of thing. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's all we want. Like, that's what any good parent wants, is they just want their child to be happy.
Yeah.
And like, I think all of us on some level understand that feeling, not like you fit in, you know.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of that in school, or?
Yes, yeah. I was always very quiet. So I was we'd have, the teacher would say, okay, somebody's going to get a prize for being the quietest. And I would hate this game because it was always me. And it wasn't because I was trying to be quiet. It's just because I couldn't make any sound. So that's kind of how I experienced things growing up as a kid. Very unsure about myself, about what I have to say, what I have to share. Do I have anything to share? And at the same time, sensing so much, like sensing what other people were saying between the words or in their energies. And there's so much conversation going on anyway. So there's not really any space to say anything, and not understanding what that was all about either. So I'm being frightened a lot, like a lot of kids. I remember sensing things coming in rooms and being frightened. And I think it might have been Elsa or somebody was talking about energies and sensing that because they feel big doesn't mean that they're bad. And I think that's also something I try and teach Luna as well, about the energies. Things that are big are not always bad and scary. So yeah, that just went from one conversation to another. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Started-
You just showed us you've been on this awakening since the beginning. You've always been in the awakening. That's the most beautiful way of it too, is that you get to slowly come through. I relate completely to you. I mean, in your story is, I mean, except for the quiet. I'm an Aries with a Leo rising. I mean,
That's cool.
like, I'm not drawing attention to myself on purpose. I just don't care. And so a lot of times, though, what I struggled with the most in school was, I would have, just like you said, you could tell that there's a subtext. You could tell that there's energetically more conversation going on and no one's saying it out loud, and that made it just so frustrating. I got I'm still that way, actually. Which is funny because we're moving into a time where people are using more telepathy, speaking with your mind to one another, or I guess you would say to your heart, is really how it feels. And I'm that person who, I'm always like, use your big girl words, like, use your words, and like my kid, I can tell what she wants. I know what she wants right now, but
Right.
she needs to tell me. And like, that's just a thing that I don't know why that's a part of who I am, but growing up and being in high school, especially, everybody, what they're really saying. And it was painful to watch what they
Yeah.
were actually saying with their voice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's confusing because you don't really understand what's going on yourself, or what is the truth. Is what you're sensing
Yeah.
true, or is what, I mean, everything's true, but yeah, it is a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are really aliens, that's why we don't fit in. We don't feel like we belong anywhere. We don't really belong here. There's no real place that we really belong, at least on this realm. And so it's like going to a foreign country, similar to what you did, leaving Australia the first time, at least going to live somewhere else. It's like that, only on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I had you, after having a session with you, the part of the topic that we had was feeling safe. And I remember saying to myself, I feel safe, I feel safe. And a few days after saying that, I had a clash with a car with the mirrors. The mirrors hit, so it wasn't a bad thing, but it made an impact. And it was kind of crazy because drove back with this woman. It was on a school run just to have a talk and see what's going on. And it was a day where it was pouring rain. There was lots of rain, so you couldn't see very well. And I knew when I woke up in the morning something was going to happen. So I was really consciously aware of everything. Well, I was trying to be very careful about everything. And there wasn't a lot of damage, but there's this very long road that we have to drive down. And in France, where we are, a lot of the roads, they're like this big. I honestly do not know to this day how two cars fit. I think that is magic in itself every single time. It's incredible. And anyway, I was driving home and I got to the beginning of this long road where we'd actually had this clash. And at the other end of the road, there was a huge lorry, a massive lorry. And I thought, I am not driving down that road. I'm going to stay at the beginning of the road and wait till he comes past me. And it was still raining, and he came. And as he came to where my car was, he stopped and he rolled down his window. I'm thinking, what are you doing? What's going on? I just want you to go past. And he was saying in French something, and I couldn't hear what he was saying properly because it was raining. And all I could hear was this word, here. And I thought he meant that, did the accident happen here? And I was thinking, how do you even know about that? You weren't here. And he was asking me, are you from here? And when I understood what he said, I said, no, I'm not. And suddenly it was like a spell was broken, and it was really good, actually. It was like this feeling of I'm not from here. I don't know if it's like, it felt really good to say, no, I'm not from here. It's like a huge relief. It was incredible. So, but very strange experience.
Wow.
Huge experience.
And you were safe, even though the clash. I like that I typed it in the comments because I wanted to keep that. The clash of the mirrors, like the way you worded that, really feels significant. There's a lot of stuff about mirrors coming up today. I don't know why, but for you to get to, that's how you uncast a spell. That's what I mean by uncasting spells. Whoa, I lost my. Am I here still? Can you see me?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I mean by uncasting a spell. You uncast.
Yeah, it felt like a spell was broken with that awareness. It was interesting, but I often drive now with my wing mirror. Is it the wing mirrors in? So the mirrors are actually facing in instead of out, which is also, it has also some meaning to it as well too, but I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Wow.
It's
So like
different.
you had them folded in, the side view mirrors, they were like, normally they're out so you can use them, but you had them turned in where you couldn't use them.
Yeah, so they're facing towards me. They're
Right.
not facing outside of the world anymore. It's different.
Wow, that's some deep symbolism. It's not facing the outside world anymore, it's facing you.
Inside, yeah.
You're meant to see within. You're meant to see self. You're meant to focus on self, looking at this instead of the outside world right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, now Elsa's going. She's got some stuff. See one's mirror clash. Wow. Beautiful share, Kristina. And then Magi mirror. There's a lot about mirrors coming in right now. Like, it's a big deal, Kristina. Like, there's that's really cool. And they're facing you now. And so in all the things that you do, you're meant to focus on yourself. Not in an arrogant way. It's just start focusing on yourself more. And then, the masculine and feminine. That's right. So the right side is the divine masculine, the left side is the divine feminine. So now you're having both the divine feminine and divine masculine sides of yourself to bring forward and to let yourself like see, to focus on, so you can do the healing that you're meant to do in the now moment. Wow.
Yeah. And
That
it's
all happened. Sorry.
the left mirror is the one that got smashed, actually. So it's the feminine side that's cracked and needs mending, which is really interesting also.
Yeah, it is. Holy smokes. Wow, you got a lot of code. And that, how long ago was that?
That was in May. That happened in May.
That was
Yeah.
in May.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And the divine feminine side got cracked. And so that's actually what I kept hearing over and over again too, is that she needs to break down completely so she can put herself together correctly. And like
Okay.
it looked like a mirror. It looked like a statue made of a mirror. That just and like, because that's how spirit talks to me. There's like a lot of visuals, and sometimes it's a symbol, sometimes literal. Anyway, and then it was just a pile of all these teeny tiny micro mirrors, and she had to fall apart completely. So the fact that you're talking about mirrors and you're talking about this, oh my goodness.
Cool. Well, I know what to do now, so that's good.
You got Elsa going for a minute. I bet she's gonna be send me messages after this too. Like if you coded her, thank you for coding Elsa. Her family's probably gonna get out the water bottle. They spray her when she gets into too many codes.
Okay. Uh, uh, well, it's in May, Luna's middle name is May, Mae, actually. So
Of course it is. Of
yeah.
course it is.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. Oh my goodness. I'm actually getting like when you smile too much, your cheeks kind of get sore.
Yeah.
She says, yep, all day, all day. She's gonna be you coded her up for the whole day. Thank you for coding, Elsa.
Yes. Hmm.
Well, we've been on for an hour. We can keep going or we can wrap it up. It's up to you.
I'm happy to say thank you, and yeah, I'm happy to say thank you and go and put my mirror back together again. Start putting it back together.
Wow. You shared a lot of really, really powerful stuff today. You really, I like, thank you. I really mean it. And I know it's difficult to be in something that's like unknown waters and seeing, I just want to say, like, and the response, and I mean, this has been an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it, so
Thank you.
thank you for providing yourself for this service for so many of us today.
Thank you for asking me, and thank you for having me here. So it means actually really a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just a little bit of quick business real quick. I hope you don't mind. Next week, we are going to be Guardians coming on for the show. And so that'll be the 7th of August. It's already August for some of y'all. So we're into the August window now. And then the day after that, the 8th of August on 8/8 Lionsgate. Actually, it's 8/8/8 because it's the 8-year. Guardian is doing I'm hosting a thing with Guardian where he channels the collective, the Tehute, who are a Syrian group of really high frequency beings, and they're just amazing. So it's free. I'll post that later in the week, and you'll be able to join that. That is a Zoom meeting. It will not be aired or recorded. It's considered private. So it's free though. If anybody wants to join or be part of that, you need to join during the call, and then you can ask a question to the collective and get guidance in this way. It's always really cool. So please stick around and come back, and thank you all for being here today. We'll see if we get any more geomagnetic activity or not. I don't know anymore. I just know that my body needs more water, more salt, more rest, and more time outside. So if y'all can do that, that'll help you. Thank you so much for coming again, Kristina. I love you.
Thank you.